show you why having a good concave is so dang important. Let's do this with some hydralisks. Bum, bum, bum. Rally these here. Alright, so here's my hydralisk army. And rally these here. And here's my other hydralisk army. Now, the idea of using a proper concave, this is extremely important in Brood War because the pathing wasn't so good, is to have all of your units immediately start firing at the enemy all at once, while only some of your opponent's army will be firing at you. Now, here's my superior concave, and here's my very bad convex. I'm going to go ahead and attack these into the concave and show you what sort of damage it'll do. And I won't even micro, I'll just have a concave. Alright, so the blue guy came out ahead with 3 more of these hydralisks. And the reason for that is because at the very beginning of the battle, some of the red hydralisks were just not on the battle firing. So it should be completely obvious as to why the concave gives you an advantage. All of your units immediately start firing at the enemy units, while a couple of the enemy units meander around the sides. That's why you see in high-level replays, players will do things like this with their army, set it up in a good defensive position. This is a very good way to get an advantage. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and attack in. Watch these back few units. You'll probably see a couple hydralisks just meander around the sides, not doing anything. And you won't see a single blue one. See, these 2 hydralisks in the back took some time to just meander around. And now again, 3 against only 3 left over. And this is a pretty small scale battle. If this was actually a even larger scale battle, the differences would be ginormous. The differences between the results of this army clashing this army. The bigger the battle gets with a good concave versus bad one, the more adverse the differences are between the winner and the loser. So now the next one I have down on my handy dandy list is the Zealot Force Field Pole, is what I call it. And this is probably most prevalent if you play Protoss, but it could be prevalent in quite a few different scenarios. This is probably a little too many Zealots, but that's alright. So say it's 4 gate on 4 gate, or maybe just 3 gate on 4 gate, whatever. You got some Protoss units versus some Protoss units. This team will have a bunch of ranged units, and some Zealots. So I've got 6 Stalkers versus like 8 or 9 Stalkers, and a Sentry versus some Zealots. I'll get rid of one of them. Now, what most people will do when they have a 4-gater at the bottom of their ramp, and I've seen this a lot in low-level replays, and more often in high-level replays as people figured it out, they go ahead and place their force field here, and then just let their Zealots come down to the force field and attack whatever in front of it. And as the Zealots are here, these ranged units are all firing at the Zealots, and your Zealots die, and then he gets up the ramp and kills you, because you just don't have him as many units. What you need to do is, after you lay this force field down, keep your Zealots back and just kill whatever's in front of the force field with your ranged units. That way, only some of his units will be in the battle, the ones in front of the force field, instead of all of these units down here behind the force field firing up over the force field at your Zealot. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and depict this. Oh shit. That was, I forgot to split the army in half. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and depict this, trap some of the units up front, try to micro for both teams. So he's coming up the ramp, and you split some of his army out. Now you keep these Zealots back here out of the battle, just like so. And you can pick this one off, but you don't want your Zealots, because as soon as the Zealots get towards the ramp, they'll immediately get in range of all the Stalkers. And now that the Stalkers come up the ramp, I can engage them with the Zealots, and you can see how badly I'll win the battle. Very badly win this battle. And that's how you defend a 4-gate with a 3-gate. You just use Superior Micro. put those off to the side. Alright, and now I would like to demonstrate something I like to call multi-selecting. It might make more sense if I call it spread fire. Basically, it's a trick I learned from Age of Empires, because in Age of Empires, you oftentimes will have big balls of archers fighting one another, and it's really important to make sure your archers don't overkill, as in shoot way more arrows at a single enemy than is necessary to kill them. And basically the idea in PvP, oftentimes it's applicable to PvP because I play that, but I'm sure it's applicable to other matchups as well. It's important to know how many stalkers it takes to kill another stalker shot. It takes 12 for the record. So what I have is 6 for 6 stalkers. I'm going to go ahead and aim move this red ball into the blue ball, and I'm going to go ahead and micro the blue ball. While microing the blue ball, I'm going to try to make sure that no extra shots are fired. I'm going to try to make sure each enemy stalker gets exactly 6 shots before it dies, and no more than that. Because you can potentially fire, say a stalker has 1 hit left, you can potentially fire all 6 stalkers onto it of your own, and overkill by 5. So I'm going to go ahead and try to demonstrate this multi-selecting. So I'm going to go ahead and focus down the first one. Alright, and as you can see, I win the battle pretty dang convincingly, because I tried to be sure not to overkill my enemy. While the other dude, which is just A-moving, as in a player who doesn't know how to micro their units, is being simulated by the red guy. So go ahead and show this one more time. Basically, you just try to make sure every single stalker takes exactly 12 hits, and no more than that. It's kind of hard to explain, so it's sort of up to you as a viewer to view what I'm doing, because I don't think I can actually explain it any better than what I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this first stalker to get 12 hits on it. Now I overkilled by 1 on the third stalker, or the last stalker. Yeah, now I win. What happens if you get a good flank as the Zerg? Flanking is important as the Zerg player. Here's what imagine this is all the Protoss sees as your army. He's like, oh, I could take that out with my stalkers, no problem. Although you hide some of your army over in another portion of the map. He's going to go ahead and attack you. And then you're going to come in from this direction. He's going to commence his kiting. But then, oh shit, say he gets a surround on your stalkers. I'm not microing stalkers, I'm mimicking a surround. Look at how effective that surround was. I end up with 5 more stalkers left. I'll go ahead and try to get an actual surround going. I'll get a couple more stalkers and a bunch more Zerglings.
Our allies are being attacked.
Alright, so I say we have 8 stalkers this time, and a good amount more Zerglings. You hide these in another portion of the map. You have these ones, and you show them to the Protoss, and he's like, oh jeez, that's all he has it as natural? I'm gonna go ahead and just attack that. Although you come over with your Zerglings, and you're like, what's up, fool? He starts trying to kite you, and then, oh, all of a sudden he gets flanked. That gets you an immediate surround, and you'll have absolutely terrible time taking out your Zerglings. And if you were just kiting the whole time, and you weren't able to get a good surround off, you would be in trouble. Okay, so here say we have our Protoss army here. Say we have, oh, let's do 6 roaches. Or 9 roaches. Versus this Protoss army of 4 zealots and 6 stalkers. I'm gonna go ahead and attack here. I'll micro a little bit. So we killed all the zealots, and then let's just say we killed another stalker. That didn't go so well for ours, everybody. So now what I want to show you is how much more effective a Zerg army is if it has Zergling support. Now let's get less roaches, although I'll add in some zerglings. And then I'll go ahead and add in some zerglings to throw in a moment later. So now what this is representing is an army about the size of last army in terms of how much it cost. This is probably a little bit cheaper. And I'm going to have, I need one more zealot. I'm going to have the same size Protoss army. And what I want to demonstrate is how much more effective a little group of roaches or a group of hydralisks, especially hydralisks, are if you just have zergling support during the battle. Let's say this zergling ball that is going to come into the battle after this group of zergling dies is reinforcements of zerglings from a hatchery. So I'll go ahead and just demonstrate how much more effective these 6 roaches will be with just some basic zergling support. So now say that your zergling's dying in the battle, then all of a sudden you bring in the next round of zerglings. His army is just firing at your zerglings while your roaches have been alive the entire time. Look at how more effective these roaches were. Just because they have zergling support. The reason the roaches are so much more effective with zergling support is because you can afford, the Protoss army deals less damage with these stalkers to zerglings than they do to roaches. So if you have zerglings in front of your roaches aren't taking any damage. They're dealing their damage over and over and over. They deal more damage than the zerglings do, and then the stalker ball will be dealing less damage to your army over time because they're hitting light units, as you can see here, 14 to armored and 10 to light. Go ahead and show you this again. Oh, this time actually I should show you. Imagine if you spent, instead of this many resources on zerglings, you got like this many roaches. 75, that's an additional 4 roaches, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then the Vespian gas. That's about the same as last battle. This is about the same amount of resources as minus these 4, adding in the wings. So it's about the same cost. But you'll see how much less effective this just roach army is. The 2-unit combination is just more effective. And I'm even actually preventing overkill in this battle. Alright, so that battle's over. So now I'll show you the same cost army, less roaches overall, but more zerglings, and then a reinforcement from your hatcheries of zerglings during the battle.
Our allies are being attacked.
And even though you have about the same amount of resources spent for this zerg army compared to just 4 more roaches, because lings are so dang cheap, you come out way more ahead in the battle because you have a better expenditure of resources. So now here comes the battle. Oh man, the lings are dying. Pull the roaches back. Oh no, more lings come in from your hatcheries. Continue on the battle. And now you can see how much more ahead I get just because I have lings in my battle supporting my roaches compared to the single unit composition of just roaches.